everyone.
Here we are.
Hey. I love that countdown. It
That was
starts
cool.
at one
I
tempo
feel
and
so
then
fancy.
goes to another tempo. That was very interesting.
Little tempo jump countdown.
Yeah.
It kind of builds the anticipation, gets you excited. What's gonna
Yeah. Well,
happen?
it definitely caught my attention. I don't know about you guys. Well, this
Well,
is
how's
pretty
it
cool
going?
because we are kind of getting back to normal here. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
a little bit.
I'm gonna start mixing at Campus Jacks again, starting on the 5th. Gosh,
Exciting.
that is tomorrow. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I've got bands that are coming fast and furiously now.
Hey.
It'll be fun.
Awesome. Well, cool. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
Good to get back out there and get
Oh yeah.
some semblance of normalcy. Hey,
Exactly.
hello. Alan says, hey. Paul says, hi. All right.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
All
Well,
right.
let's get into our talk. I think this is going to be a fun one. We'll try to do it as quickly and most streamlined as we can.
Yep.
What are we doing today, Golden?
All right. Well, first of all, welcome to QSC Tech Talk, everyone. I'm Golden Preciado. I am an audio engineer and House of Worship specialist with QSC. I'm here along with Jason Fernandez, live sound training specialist with QSC. Yeah. And today we are talking about how to use your third-party plugins with your TouchMix-30 Pro.
That's
It's going to be pretty cool. We're going to pick some strange and awesomely weird plugins.
That's
right. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's do it. All
Bring
right.
it on.
So to set, before I get into the demonstration, just to set this up a little bit, this is going to be a slightly more complex concept that we're going to be demonstrating here. But just to break it down into its most simple components, a plugin is basically like an application that you use through that it is hosted by another software. In my case, a DAW or digital audio workstation, which is audio software. But there are many different kinds of plugins that do many different kinds of things that operate with all kinds of different software. So in the context of today, we're talking about audio plugins, and this could be anything that processes a signal. It's a digital application within a host DAW that processes an audio signal. It could be a reverb, could be an EQ, it can be a compressor, it could be a delay. All kinds of different things. They'll come in all shapes and sizes and functions and things like that. So what we're going to talk about and show you is how you can use these things, from a computer or within a DAW or something like that in real time on your TouchMix mixer, or specifically the TouchMix-30 Pro. This actually cannot be done on the 8 or the 16 because they don't have the direct to DAW connectivity. But you can absolutely do this on the TouchMix-30 Pro, and it's pretty cool. So just basic application of this, because there are effects and processing that do live on the TouchMix. But if there is something that, if there's this very particular plugin or sound that you gravitate to, that you just really like, or if there is some type of processing that the TouchMix can't do, like a tape saturator or an amplifier modeler or something like that, you now have the ability to kind of use those things with the mixer as well as whatever the onboard processing.
Yeah, and some people, man, they just want their waves.
Exactly. Yeah. There's people that use waves are hardcore about their waves.
Oh,
you want to use your
totally.
multi-rack or just, whatever you got your different processors, your EQs and compressors and things like that. So
their favorites. Yep.
And I totally get it. I've got plugins that I love myself. So being able to use them in real time is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and get into it. I have my TouchMix-30 here, and I have a blank Logic session. I'm going to be using Logic for this training. That's just what I use. It's the DAW I like. This will work in any DAW though. So, however you like to work, whatever DAW you're using, whatever you're familiar with, most of these concepts should be relatively familiar.
Concepts across the board, the same. Yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to do, starting with my mixer here, I do have a microphone plugged into channel 1 here. I'm going to go ahead and just get some audio going on this microphone. There we go. You can see my signal happening there as I talk into the mic. That's about right.
Mm-hmm.
We'll pull up the fader in a minute here. But then to get the signal going out into my Logic session, I'm going to first go into the record play screen by hitting the record play button here. And then we have the recording screen, which shows us our recording mode, basically. And I am in the multi-track DAW mode. If you want to do this, you got to make sure that you're in this mode. The screen should look like this. And the good way to tell or to change it to this mode if it doesn't look like this, you hit record mode right there. It brings up your different record mode options, and just make sure you have multi-track DAW selected, and it looks like that. So we're good here. The other thing that I want to pay attention to on this screen is the sample rate. It can be at 44.1 or 48. Those are the two options on the TouchMix, and it doesn't matter which one you use, but you do want to be aware of what that is either way, because you're going to need the DAW session to be set to the same sample rate.
They need to be matched up, because boy, if they're not,
oh man, yeah, sample rate mismatch is
it will either get garbly. It's changed pitch on me,
changes pitch.
or it's just plain stops the program.
Yeah, she says hard no, not doing
yeah.
that. Okay, cool. So I'm going to leave it at 44.1 for this because that's fine. Now I'm going to go back into Logic here, and we'll configure the Logic session quickly. I got to scoot over here. Okay, so here's my Logic session. I've got a blank track set up here. The first thing I'm going to do is go into the settings. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. So in Logic, I'm going to go to the preferences. I'm going to go to my audio preferences. And I want to make sure that we are indeed using the TouchMix as our audio interface. We want the output and input device to be set to the QSC TM30 Pro. And then from this screen, the other thing that I want to set, because this setting is located on this screen, other DAWs might do this a little differently, but there are essentially three things you're going to need to locate in your DAW session. It is the interface. So what is your audio device you're using? The sample rate, which we'll get to, and the IO buffer. Okay. Now, normally your DAW will probably have this preset to something very high. And I've already set this on mine here, but the default IO buffer in Logic is 1024, which looks like this. Now you can see this is giving us a very high output latency. And for recording applications or just mixing and mastering and things like that within the session itself, that's not a problem.
Yeah, but for
live, for this specific application, when we're going to be receiving and then returning audio in real time, that latency is going to be really bad. So we're going to,
or it might throw off the drummer.
Yeah, you don't want that. Please don't throw the drummer off.
Jason's a drummer.
I am. Don't throw me off. It's bad. I'm going to select the lowest option that it gives me, which is 32. Now, your options might vary depending on your DAW. They also might vary depending on your processor itself. So you want to basically select the lowest IO buffer you can without maxing out your CPU. But at 32, you can see that now I have a latency of 2.8 milliseconds, which is negligible.
Super
to the
low. Yeah, that is great.
That is excellent. That's going to be no problem in a live application. So we're good there. I'm going to close this, and it's going to kind of take a second to reset up the core audio there. Okay, we're good. Now, let's check out our sample rate real quick. Now I want my project settings, audio, and right here. So here is my sample rate, and it is already set to 44.1. So we're good. So we got 44.1 on the mixer, 44.1 in my Logic session. So everything should be good and happy. Now, I've got my channel here, which it looks like it already routed to, or it's pulling from 31 and 32 on my TouchMix. I'm going to reset that because I want to tell it to pull the audio from the channel that my microphone's connected to, which is channel 1. The first thing I'm going to need to do is turn this into a mono channel. It defaulted to a stereo channel, and within Logic, this little button here that has these kind of intertwining circles.
Two circle thingies.
Two circles that are overlapping. Yep. I'm going to click that button, and it's just going to give me a single circle that's telling me that this is a mono channel now. And then I can simply click in that little bar there, select input, and then I'm going to select input 1. And let's see if this worked. If I arm this to record now, there we go. I have audio. That is the audio from this microphone now coming into Logic from my mixer. So we're halfway there, just like Bon Jovi said.
Now, so in order to see the signal in Logic, you had to arm it.
I do have to arm it. So
yes,
that's a very important step to get your, once you route your audio, from your mixer channel into your session, to actually allow that audio to pass freely into that channel, or to your channels. If you have multiple channels set up, you do have to arm them to record, and that opens up the channel basically. And now the audio is flowing into that channel from the mixer. Cool. So I got my audio in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to return this same track in my DAW back out to track 1 in my mixer. And this is the step that gets us the ability to use our plugins in the DAW and be heard through the mixer. Okay, so we're going to create a loop. We're sending the audio into the DAW, and then we're going to send it right back out of the DAW into the same channel on the mixer. And to do that in the DAW, I need to change the output, which in Logic is located over here for this channel. I'm going to click in there, and it's going to give me my output options. I'm going to go down to mono. I'm going to put this down because I'm not using it. Use 2 hands here. Mono. Output 1.
Output 1.
There we go. So now input 1, output 1. So this track in Logic is incoming and outputting to the same channel on the TouchMix.
So now, basically you're treating it just like an insert.
That's exactly right. Yes. Just like an insert. Now back on the mixer. We're back on the screen. So now we're going to engage track on this mixer, and that tells the mixer that we want to utilize the audio incoming from the DAW instead of the preamp. Okay, so now we've completed our loop. We're sending microphone signals coming into the mixer, getting sent over the USB cable into my DAW session, and then it's returning from the DAW session back into this channel on the mixer. And then that channel is going to be going to the main output once I increase the level here. And when I do this, now you guys can hear me twice.
Oh,
now
yeah.
You've got my shotgun here, and then I've got this microphone here. So for a little bit, I'm going to mute my shotgun, and I'm just going to use this microphone here through the mixer. Okay, now the audio is going both ways. Back in my Logic session, now I have the liberty of applying whatever processing I want to this channel, and we will be able to listen to this in real time. So I'm just going to do something ridiculous. This guy is fun. So now this is on my channel. Hello. Increase that a little bit. Turn my feedback up. Oh yeah. Hello. That's fun.
Right.
And then I can turn that off like that. So there you go. That's the setup. That's the whole thing. That's how you get your audio in and out of your DAW. And then once it's going through the DAW channel, you can put whatever you want on that channel, and you're going to be hearing that in real time out of your mixer. What you're listening to right now is the output from my TouchMix-30 Pro. So no smoke and mirrors here. We're not listening to my Logic session. This is the TouchMix. And one of the reasons I picked this effect specifically, just because it's really obvious that it's affecting my voice. So you can hear that there's processing, but it also has a mix control in it. And most plugins will have this, but they don't all have it. So if you are going to use this application, I advise you to choose your plugins here that do have this control. And what this is this within the plugin itself allows you to control what the amount of that plugin is. So it's sort of like the send amount. If you don't have this control in your plugin, you're just going to get a 100% wet signal the entire time. And usually that's not what you want. Usually when you're working with plugins, especially effects, you're working with a percentage of that wet signal. And so
it's probably a good idea to have that plugin window open as you're working with it.
Exactly. And if this was, if I was doing this in real time, I would definitely have my laptop next to my mixer like I have it here. And I would have this plugin window open so that I could adjust it on the fly as necessary.
The other important thing to note would be that if you need to mute the plugin, it has to be muted from the plugin.
That's right.
So you can't use the mixer effects mute for this. You're going to have that plugin ready to mute and unmute as they
very good point
from talking to playing.
Yes, that is a very good point. You do have to.
I'm curious about something.
Uh-huh.
How is the latency affected? Let's say we add another plugin to that channel.
Oh, well, let's try it. Usually the DAW is pretty good at handling the latency on its own. Well, let's put something else on here. We can put a big old reverb on it. Oh, there we are. Yeah. Oh. Hey. Let's give ourselves a little bit of a low cut. Hey. Hello. Oh, wrong control. There we go. That's a little better. All right, so now I've got a mega reverb, and I can re-engage my delay.
Hand delay.
And now what do I sound like? Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, you're certainly proving your plug-in point right now.
I actually I've got two, and hold on. I'm distracting myself. So yeah, another reason why I picked this one in particular, and I just happened to pick this reverb. The Space Designer in Logic is relatively CPU heavy, as is this Native Instruments plugin here. So even with both of those engaged, the latency is still fine. It wasn't, there isn't a noticeable delay in my voice, hitting the microphone and then reaching your ears.
Can you show us again under preferences where to see what the round trip is?
Yes, absolutely.
This is pretty important. If
yeah. So and I'm going to show you that again in Logic. And this is not necessarily going to be located in the same place in every DAW, but in Logic, I'm going to select the Logic Pro drop down menu. I'm just going to hit Preferences and then Audio, and right under your IO buffer setting here is the latency. So we've got the output is 2.8 milliseconds.
Oh yeah. So we didn't add much to it by adding that second effect.
No, we didn't. We added hardly anything to it.
It's important to note, though, every time you add another channel,
you are adding processing to the session. So,
but let's say, Jason, just for the sake of saving on latency, how might you set up let's say your favorite reverb if you had maybe 4 vocals that you wanted to apply your reverb to?
That's a great question.
You could set it up as an aux and then just only use the one reverb instead of inserting it on the channel, which would really save.
So in the mix view here, what I would want to do, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can right click and let's see, maybe you can't. I usually just go to the sends. Yeah. So from my single channel that I have right now, I'm just going to go to the sends, and you go to bus, and you choose any bus, and it'll create an aux here. Now this signal is passing through this aux. I can put the effect on the aux here. Let's go back to our reverb. So I've got a Space Designer on that aux, and then as I increase this, that's going to send it to the reverb. Hear that? Hey.
The beautiful thing about doing it this way is you only use one
reverb. Effect, so now
which means you're saving on CPU usage. You could use it for multiple vocals or multiple whatever.
And that's what you want to do. Like if I had like you said, your example, if I have 4 vocalists and I want reverb on all of them, I set up my aux with my reverb on the aux, and then I send all 4 of those channels in the session to that aux, like I've just done here. And then we hear that reverb on all of our channels, just using the one reverb.
Right.
So that's an excellent tip there. And not only for this application, if you're just within a lot of applications, auxes and buses are a huge CPU saver. So
yeah. I got used to that on an older computer that didn't have quite the CPU power. I'm always thinking of ways, okay, I only have this much CPU power. How can I save?
Yeah, exactly. It's something to be mindful for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So that is, that's basically what we wanted to cover. A few different, applications for this clearly are just, the application is what it is. It's just if you're using your third-party plugins in real time.
Yep.
I know people who are a big proponent of this functionality are people who use something called the multi-rack, which is a Waves product again, but it's essentially a digital processing rack. So if you can think of like a big analog processing, a little.
Jason, go ahead and switch back to your face.
Do what?
So we can. Yeah, so we can see. Yeah.
There we go. If you can imagine a physical audio rack, where you have effects and processors and stuff built into it. Waves makes a digital version of that where then you can insert, whatever, Waves processing you want into that, and then send that out in real time. You can now, with this functionality, you can actually use that product with the TouchMix as well. Any DAW or the Waves processor, or you could also use third-party plugins on their own. So a good example of that is amp modeling. If you have a really nice amp modeler that you like to run your guitar through, you can send the output of the amp modeler within your computer directly to your guitar channel or to a channel on the TouchMix, and then you've got your amp modeling directly coming through the board like that. So,
right,
pretty cool. So I think let's take a couple questions here. I see a few popping up.
Looks like Juan missed the beginning of it, so he didn't get to see how you hooked up your TouchMix. He was asking, am I using a separate interface, or am I using the TouchMix?
What I've done here is I have a TouchMix. Boom. There's my TouchMix-30, and I have my DAW session. So this is just an HDMI out from my laptop, but I have a laptop set up right next to my TouchMix-30 here, and I've got the USB A to B cable. So the connection out of the back of the mixer into the laptop, and then you open up your DAW session and you select. I can show you that. We'll just make sure that we have the TouchMix-30 Pro selected as your interface. Yeah. And that's all it is. That's the connection right there. Let's see. I've got Alan from Facebook's asking, did you get my question?
I looked back. I don't see anything from Alan.
Oh,
here it is. How can I order? What does that mean?
Can you elaborate, Alan? Not sure what you mean by that. We'll see if Alan can give us a little more detail on that question. But if there are any other questions out there as well, feel free to drop them in the comments. We'd be happy to address them real quick. Otherwise, that's what I got for now. That was kind of my quick and dirty rundown of getting your third-party plugins going.
Yeah,
on the mixer.
That's very cool.
It's a pretty cool little trick that you can
option.
do. And it kind of just opens up. It just opens up for more processing. You have virtually unlimited processing once you introduce a DAW. It's whatever plugins you have available in your plugin or in your plugin library. And most DAWs will include their own plugin set. Most of them are decent. Then there's all kinds of like a Wave. I mentioned Waves a few times. There's all kinds of third-party plugin manufacturers that make great sounding plugins, and it's fun to be able to use that stuff.
Oh yeah, totally. I don't see any more questions. I think we're
in the clear.
Rocking and rolling. Yeah.
All right. Well, fantastic.
Well, I got a few quick announcements before we close. Before we go, I wanted to let you know about a couple of our Facebook groups. We have the QSC TouchMix group. So if you own a TouchMix or are interested in owning a TouchMix, or even if you don't own one but find yourself mixing on one, this is a super informative group about everything TouchMix. And then also stick around for these live feeds, because the more you're watching us work the TouchMix, the faster and easier it is to learn.
That's right.
The other Facebook group that we have out there, hosted by QSC and myself, is called Church Sound Training. The group was actually created for church sound people and their volunteers, but the audio concepts that are taught here are universal and applicable really across the board. Because adding to your audio knowledge and understanding helps you to operate your TouchMix and all other audio equipment with better skill and precision. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Jason. That was like a super awesome thing.
That was fun. I love doing this one. And also just to throw this out there as well, if you are a member of either of those groups, or if you want to post some things in the comments about these tech talks, if you have suggestions, or if there are topics that you would like to hear about, or would like us to cover,
yeah, definitely,
let us know. This topic actually was the result of a question that got asked at last week's tech talk. Somebody asked specifically about third-party plugins, so we just said, hey, why don't we do a tech talk on that topic. So
Yeah.
it was great. So we love your feedback. We love to hear what you would like more information about so that we can better, provide that information to you.
So Lou, yes, this will live on the QSC website, the QSC main page Facebook site. So you can go back and review it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that puts us at about 30 minutes. We try to keep these things short and sweet. So
Yeah, you did good. Woohoo.
awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. With
Well,
that,
thank you again for joining us, everyone.
absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Have an awesome rest of the day.